Do you have environmental toxins in your home? If you're unsure, or you think you have, or even if you think you haven't, keep watching. Health Explorer, Neil Fellows here to get healthy and fit and stay healthy and fit and do it in a way that's unique and natural to you. Please subscribe and hit the bell. In this video, I want to find out more about environmental toxins in your home. I want to find out what they are, I want to find out what they cause, and I want to find out how to get rid of them. Joining me is award-winning alternative life coach and house healer, Tim Walter. So Tim, we're sitting at home with our feet up in front of the fire. We've poured ourselves a nice hot drink, our phone's nestled next to us and Netflix is on. While we're sitting there, what are some of the environmental toxins that are circulating around our space?
Well, it's a lovely image, isn't it? Especially sort of in the winter days, you know, with a nice log fire going or something like that. Well, you mentioned phones, so there's the potential for EMF interference. Some people are quite sensitive to EMF radiation. There's a lot of misinformation about EMF out there, especially on the internet. But there are some people that are genuinely affected by EMF, so phones can be an issue. You will have also toxins if from a fire. There are some, some fires will create quite a lot of particulates, so you have to be a little bit careful about that. There's nothing to get upset about or worried about. You just need to be aware that these things are circulating in the room. Then it depends on how your room has been cleaned. A lot of household cleaners are quite interesting in what they leave behind. Some people react very badly to some of the household cleaners, cleaning fluids and cleaning aerosols, for example. Now, obviously, on a wider view, on a planetary view, an environmental view, a lot of things have been cleaned up. Aerosols don't contain CFCs anymore. The environment is obviously uppermost, and houses are built generally now to try to limit the amount of heat required, the amount of energy required to make a home comfortable. But in trying to meet those sort of climate change targets that have been imposed on builders and all the rest of it, a lot of our houses have become hermetically sealed. They're not actually wonderful places to really maximize the human being's immune system. There's quite a lot of evidence that suggests that kids, for example, that are allowed to get out there and play in the dirt, they actually have a stronger immune system than the children that are closeted away in homes. And a lot of modern homes really aren't designed for the human beings living in them. They're actually designed to try to limit the amount of energy used to heat them and for it to be in existence. There are all sorts of hidden things. I mean, the thing is that in my work as a house healer, what I tend to be working with are not only these invisible issues, we talk about the influence of household cleaning items, but there are a whole bunch of subtle energies. The science calls them subtle energies. These are influences upon us from the environment that are very difficult for us to detect, but some people are very sensitive to. And the key thing is that it's some people. None of this stuff, I mean, no medical practitioner, for example. Now, clearly, I'm not a medical practitioner, but you have medical practitioners on your, in Total Wellness Club. Now, none of them would even start to think that any pharmaceutical or any natural remedy would apply equally across the board to every single person. And the work that I do when we're working in the subtle energies really does highlight the fact that we are completely individual. So one person could be highly sensitive to one particular household cleaner, for example, whereas you've got a whole, 50 people, it would not affect at all, or more. But the issue is really for that one person that's affected by it. So
yeah, really interesting what you're saying, because I know we've done interviews. I remember one with Janie Lee Grace that we did where we were talking about toxicity with the skin. She also talked about cleaning products in there. And we tried a couple, some bathroom cleaning product. We tried some Pledge, one in the kitchen, one in the bathroom. And actually, half an hour later, we both had sore throats. And you might not normally notice that sort of thing, but when you become aware of it and now it's pointed out to you, perhaps be vigilant of that, because to be aware that it can be affecting the way you breathe. Tim, what damage do environmental toxins cause?
To the individual, a lot of the time, I mean, you talked there about sore throats, but a lot of the time, the damage actually is more psychological, in terms of just a feeling of unease, a feeling of being uncomfortable, a feeling of not being quite right. But obviously, the ones that we spot, the people are most likely to spot is skin reactions, skin irritation, that sort of thing. And you mentioned a particular brand there. You might want to edit that brand name out, but that particular brand, I can't use it because within 10 minutes, my skin has erupted in little irritated pimples, and they're really quite unpleasant. So it's that sort of thing. But the general unease is really my area of work. So with EMF, though, interestingly enough, EMF is a good one for us to actually talk about, because there are many in the mainstream medical profession. I have a very good friend who's actually a neurophysiologist at Exeter Hospital here in the UK. Now, that means that he's responsible for for working with patients, and he's the one that actually puts them in the EEG system when they're analysing brain patterns. So he puts the old electronic, pulsey things on their head, electrodes on the head, and to examine the brainwave function. So he's a very scientific guy. Now, he has people coming to him complaining about EMF issues, so detrimental EMF. What he finds is absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. But these people are complaining that they're suffering from EMF influence. Detrimental influence is affecting them. Now, what they may be saying is that they are getting like the feeling of burning. There's a sensation, there's quite a lot of this coming up now. I get quite a lot of people coming to me with this feeling that their skin is just on fire. And clearly that's causing some, they're not happy with that. It's causing them some discomfort mentally, apart from anything else, and a lot of worry. Now, I did a job, a house healing job for a client recently, and that is one of the symptoms that they came to me with. They had other symptoms as well, and clearly I'm not going to mention who they are, but we did some work, and I didn't find a massive amount of EMF disruption in their house. What I did find was the fact that they'd done a lot of EMF protection work, because when I analysed it through using dowsing, I analysed their house. They were in Florida. Obviously, I'm over here in the UK, but you can access this remote locations by using dowsing. And what I did find was a lot of locations where they put things in place to remedy EMF. So they had advice and they put those in place. But they weren't showing up as being directly detrimental to the individual, because they're supposed to be remediating the EMF influence. But still, they had these issues of burning skin and uncomfortable feelings. There was a whole raft of things that we found from on that particular client. Underground water, what we call toxic lines, so that's influence from other industrial locations around the house, miles away. And historical place memories as well. So we as human beings, this physical aspect that gives us these signals that says, oh, my skin's really uncomfortable, this is only part of what we are, and there's a whole subtle aspect to us, and it's that subtle aspect that gets influenced by these subtle energies, as science calls them. So we cleared all those for that particular client, and yeah, Wayne, great. These guys, I talked to them just last week, and they are absolutely fine. We've sorted them. They had a dowser in previously, and that dowser recommended to move house. They didn't want to move house. They didn't need to move house. But so these subtle influences are subtle, but they're incredibly significant.
So really fascinating. And we've done other interviews in the past. And what I'll do is I'll add a link to one of those interviews for everybody so that they can hear the science behind this as well. Because I know what we're talking about here may sound as though it's a little bit sort of like woo-woo, but actually there is some science behind it. So we'll put a link to that other video underneath this one so that you can go and take a look at that. Tim, how can we know if our home has these toxins? You mentioned obviously people noticing things on their skin, but how else would we know?
Well, I mean, the thing is that, of course, this is often something that doesn't make itself obvious. You know, people can spend some time trying to figure out what it is that is affecting them. You know, the classic thing, of course, is that really, if you're spending time at home, and as a lot of people have been this year, and you feel a variety of symptoms that are not terribly great, so you're feeling some ill health or malaise. I mean, we're not talking about serious ill health here. I mean, what we're talking here about with subtle energies is about a general feeling of, you know, there's something not quite right. You know, so, and then once people get a chance this year to actually go away from home, if they find that they feel much better away from the home, then clearly it's going to be something in the home that is affecting them. And that is one of the ways that people very often say, oh, okay, so we don't know what it is, but it's something at home. How do we work it out? Well, you know, when I do my work, I go through a list of 50 points, 50 section headings, analysing what might it be that's affecting the individual that's come to me for help. And so, you know, the individual environmental toxins that we're talking about, or that you're suggesting that we're talking about today, would come up in that, but it's not a major feature. But, you know, there are specialists for everything. And I talked just now about my client that had influences from historical sort of stuff that's happened in the past on the land, so in the subtle aspects. And we have an issue here in this house. We discovered it last summer. One of the things I was looking forward to when we moved in here was that I was actually looking forward to developing a vegetable garden. First time in my life getting excited about gardening. We've talked about that a little bit before. But this area, although it's absolutely beautiful here in the Yorkshire Dales, this particular area, this particular dale, historically was a major lead mining area. And I mean, literally for hundreds of years, it was providing lead that was exported all over the world. So big time lead mining. And it struck me one day, I thought, hang on, I better just check this soil for contaminants. And so we got some soil samples, we sent it off to a lab, and sure enough, in fact, the soil here in our garden has 10 times the safe level of lead in it. Yeah. Which means that fundamentally I can't grow root vegetables and feed them to my grandson because the poor kid's going to get lead poisoning. I mean, it's as simple as that. Yeah. So this is one of the things when we talk about environment, we're not only talking about sort of home cleaning fluids, but we're talking about the land as well. And again, this is what I've just described is a very practical and very physical aspect, but there are all sorts of echoes that come off that, again, into the subtle realms. So solution for me is, well, I'm going to have to bring in some soil from outside if I want to grow carrots. Yeah, but that's fine. But I mean, seriously, I mean, I'm laughing, but it's contaminated land is a serious issue, especially when you think about the amount of urban gardening and guerrilla gardening where people are adopting empty space, wasteland space in urban environments. And it's fantastic. It's a great thing to do. But I really would say to those people, especially if it's a community-based project, get that soil tested before you start growing root vegetables in it. Because in an urban environment, that land could well be contaminated, if not with lead, but with other heavy metals as well. So it's definitely worth the money.
Great tip there, Tim. So I'm talking with award-winning alternative life coach and house healer, Tim Walter, about environmental toxins in your home. If what Tim's sharing with you is helping you, please do give us a thumbs up because it really does help the channel. Tim, how can we get rid of these toxins?
Well, I mean, that client that I cited, they bought in the services of a house healer. House healing is not a well-known modality, clearly. More and more people are becoming aware of it, and I'm training more and more people in how to do it. And obviously, we're all sort of gathering together and getting success through that. You need to get a specialist in if you've got an issue, but that could be simply talking to a GP or a medical practitioner. You know, if you've got a particularly sensitive part of the skin, then that's where you want to go. Alternatively, if you want to talk to a homeopath or an alternative medicine person, do that. But something has to be done. And I mean, what I would suggest, but it's more of a woo-woo type solution than perhaps many people might want to go for. But if you've learned to use your intuition and learned to be able to use your subjective experience of reality in order to find out information, and then once you've got some information, act on it, and if you get a result that says, yes, X, Y, Z has improved, then it works. So dowsing, for example, is one of those subjective processes that you can use to gather information that isn't immediately obvious, and then take action on it. And if something improves, then great. If it doesn't, well, try again.
Yeah, I like that approach, because what it is exploring different options. Of course, you've got the medical route, you've got the more obvious route in terms of, you know, clearing things around you that you think might be affecting you. It could be something as simple as moving your phone out of the same room that you're in when you're sitting down watching your Netflix. But also, yeah, like you say, it's digging into beyond that, into the more subtle aspects, and looking at what else might be there that perhaps you hadn't thought of or hadn't seen before. Tim, I love to, at the end of each interview we do, to look at what we've talked about and turn something in, what we talked about, into a nice challenge that people could take away and try. What would you leave us with today?
Well, as you might expect, it's going to require, it's going to need you to be able to douse. You need to be able to douse to do this challenge. So I know you had a go at this some months ago, I guess it was. So hopefully you can still get those rods moving, because I want you, Neil, to go to your cupboard, wherever you keep the cleaning stuff, all of those cleaning products, take them out one at a time. You might have 5, 6, but just hold one of them. You mentioned a furniture polish earlier on. Hold it in your hand and just hold the rod in your other hand.
Yeah.
And just ask the question, once you're nicely settled and tuned into upstairs, you know how to do that. Just ask, is anything in this, is any of the contents of this can detrimental to me? And it will probably say yes, or it might not. It might just say no, that's fine. If it says no, then move on to the next one. You know, toilet cleaner, for example. I don't know. Ask the same question. If you get a yes, then just ask, okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, minus 10, 0 to minus 10, how detrimental is it? And then just count. So 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. It'll give you a response on a number. And that way you can categorize, you can quantify. Is that bad? You know, is that so but detrimental? I should stop using it.
Nice.
There's your challenge.
Thank you, Tim. Always appreciate talking to you. Thank you for your time today. Each week, I ask our experts to leave us with a challenge. It's just an idea. It's something that you can try. And if you like it, stick with it. If you don't like it, it doesn't work for you, throw it out and look for something that does. I'll be taking this week's challenge. You can see my findings from this challenge in our challenge roundup video, which is a monthly summary covering all of the challenges our experts have shared. To get that video and all of our latest health and wellness uploads, including interviews and reviews, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified whenever we post. And if this channel can help your friends and family, please share it with them too. If you want to get proactive with your health, Total Wellness Club are developing health quests over at questly.life. Join while we're developing the site and get access to health quests that immediately personalise your health. You'll get to identify which of 10 critical health categories need your attention. You'll be able to track your progress, and you'll be able to help us develop the platform too. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.